Actually bought the whole thing. They will show you quickly. It was a full one, right? So I cut it in half.
And what is that? What's the name?
Calabash or butternut squash, North America. And I boiled it. Normally I do not blend it, but this time I decided to boil it because I didn't want to go through like beating it up until it's smooth. So I just used the blender, to make my work easier. And this is flour, right? Flour, 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt. I have overdone issues with sugar. I've put 7 teaspoons. It's not supposed to be like that. You can put as little as 1 teaspoon or no teaspoon whatsoever. Right?
Okay.
And then
if you were to do it like on the saltier side, if I were to
saltier
chapos,
I can even do that.
How many?
Now I feel like it.
How many teaspoons
of salt
would you put instead?
I already put 1 right now. I'm gonna put 1 more to make it saltier. And it's good to measure so that you don't overdo the salt, right? So I will strictly put, this is the sea sauce that we have. So I'm gonna put 1 extra. And then I'll go in with my oil. I see people don't warm their oils, but personally I like warming it. And because it's hot, you don't want to go in straight with your hands, you'll burn. So this is 1.5 cup of vegetable oil. Yeah. So this is 1.5 cup of vegetable oil, and you can see it's steaming. I put it in, but I don't put the entire thing all at once. And then I mix using this mixer, like so. And then I will add the butternut squash later. But right now I'm putting the oil first. I'm not gonna use the entire oil. I'll use maybe half of it first, unless there will be need, but I'll use half. So maybe when I was warming my oil, what I should have done is just warm less than the 1.5 cup. But yeah, it's still good. So it looks like this. I don't know if it's concentrating on it, but it looks like that. It's hot because it's hot oil. So I'll just mix it that way until it's properly mixed.
So you put 1.5 cups of hot oil?
Yeah, but what I have decided to do is, okay, so I warmed the entire 1.5 cup of oil, right? But I will not use the entire thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll use just half so that I can continue with half of the 1.5. Okay. So I'll use half of the hot oil, and then I will go in with the butternut squash. And this time I want to try something actually interesting. You know what I want to do? I want to use cream. The 35% cream, and this I'm using this to measure. This is close to the cup, right? Or maybe it's at a cup.
What type of cream is that?
The 35% milk cream, lactose free.
Okay.
Yeah. It's it should make it tender, a bit more tender than normal. But even if you don't add, that's me just being fancy, because I've always made chapatis without. But I just want to be a little fancy and see what will happen. I hope I don't create disaster.
Is this your first time?
It's my first time. I hope it comes out nice. But okay, so now it's well mixed. The consistency is like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go in with my butternut squash. You always want to do butternut squash before water. The reason for that is it's already, and you see how smooth it is? It's already like a smooth liquidish or pastish thing. So you don't want to start with water, because water should be your balancer. If you start with water, you might end up balancing everything, and then you add this, it's gonna make it super moist. It's gonna be way too much.
And is the butternut mixture warm? Or
Yeah, it's
hot?
warm. It's warm because, well, I blended it. It doesn't have to. Doesn't have to be, but it's because I blended it, and I like using my things to the tea. So I'm just gonna see. I have 1 cup of water. I always like measuring so that I don't so that even if I'm using the water, I am not ending up using more than the amount of water that I have measured. If I will end up using extra amount of water after using the 1 cup, I will still measure so that I know.
Okay.
You know, so I want to rinse this because I don't want to waste that. So I'm using the water that I had already measured to rinse into this, so it's still within the 1 cup.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I try to follow up with the measurement. But later, like after doing it twice or thrice, you will not need to measure anything because then you will have known. So our thingy is coming along really well.
Yeah. There's always the debate that what makes or breaks your chapati is like how hot the water is.
I don't use hot water at all.
Yeah.
It's
So
hot oil that I use.
today we're gonna clear our doubts. Because you've used room temperature, or was it cold?
It's actually room temperature.
Okay.
Yeah. What was hot is the oil.
Okay.
So, and actually I've seen people use cold oil and maybe warm water. So I don't know if it matters. Maybe the skill.
What do you think then is
the
the most
make-
important thing that
I would
makes
say
the chapati
I would say
soft?
kneading.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the dough has to be well mixed.
Is there something such as over kneading?
Mm-mm.
No. Oh.
Yeah, I mean there is the maximum, right? It has to be like maximally kneaded, but there is under kneading. If the flour is not well mixed, then it's under kneaded. This is annoying. Get out. But you see, we have already formed that. Okay, so now I do not want to go in with the water. I want to try this first so that I see the consistency. I'm not going to use the whole thing. I like using half of whatever I have measured, so that you want to always start with half so that you know what's coming. You know the feel of the dough. Because if you put the entire thing and then it ends up being too much, so now you have to add flour. So you don't want that. I don't know if the way it feels, it looks like we will not need a lot of water. We might not even need any water at all because the consistency is already. And I feel like I'm working out. Okay.
It's a real workout, huh?
It is, but it's good because I've eaten too much chocolate. So let me balance.
Burning the calories
I'm
before
burning-
you eat them. Balance, huh?
I'm balancing the calories I ate from the chocolate. It's stupid, but yeah.
I like the color. I like the color.
Right? The color is so nice. It's gonna be a yummy one. So this is kneading, and then so at this point it's actually the consistency is there. So I will not use the whole thing. Put that back. At this point, I want to use.
Is there any specific technique that is good to use when you're kneading?
You just it's. I don't think there's a technique. I will actually transfer it to the counter because kneading it within this bowl is not gonna do it. Yeah, because it has to be properly kneaded. I'll use a bit of water, but I'm not gonna use the whole thing. Okay. So just that. We're gonna have to get that water out. Ow. Even that water might be a bit too much, so I have to drain a bit. Yeah, see? Because I already feel it. I already feel it's like too soft. So I don't want to knead the entire amount of water into it. So at this point, I'll transfer it to the counter. I feel like using force and both hands. That's why I don't have many times I don't have nails, because I like doing things in the kitchen with my own hands. So just kneading it like this until it becomes elastic. You see the way it feels right now?
Yeah.
But I will knead it until it becomes elastic. And then I'll let it sit for like 30 minutes before I roll it up into bowls. So we'll stop the video later, like when we are done kneading, and then we will we'll resume later when we are doing the bowls. But the cooking, the rolling it, and the cooking part is not very difficult, because when you figure this, you see it's coming together. It's beginning to come together. I had cleaned the counter, so I'm comfortable to pick the unga or the flour that is. I don't like seeing my counter looking messy. I just like cleaning this, but I will wash it actually so that it's clean before I put it back. So I will wash it. It looks like this. I'll wash it and where's the camera? I'll wash it, then put some oil, vegetable oil, spread in it, and then put this back. But right now, I'll just keep doing this. I'll keep kneading. Okay? Force, if you can use more force, this is a workout. Yesterday, I went to the is it Ghanaian? No, the Jamaican hair store.
Okay.
And they were telling me, the lady there was telling me Africans like using too much force when they're making their food. I told her we like working out, that's why we never become obese.
No, that's cooking with love, you know?
I know.
You have to put all your energy.
Yeah, because I was telling her I'm gonna boil my yams, and because now I've taught myself to eat the Nigerian food, yams, and then blend it, of which I actually destroyed the big blender. Buy another one. Yeah, see, this consistency is not yet there. We have to go until when you are stretching it, it doesn't cut.
So at this point, what can you say that the texture is like, and what should it be at the end state?
It should be elastic. It should not be cutting. So later, it should try its best to just stretch to make a thin film without cutting. Yeah. Hopefully I don't know if the butternut squash changes things, but if I remember from the past ones that I've made, it doesn't make any difference. But yeah.